Do it.
I'm doing it. Are you starting it? You want me to?
Do it. You said you was
You,
doing it.
you want me to do this?
Do this.
Good evening, everybody, and
God,
welcome to Catfish Weekly. I am the best host of this show. I am Chad, also from Fields to Water. That's all you really need to know. These other clowns are just here for amusement. Poor Josh could not make it tonight. He's feeling a little bit under the weather, so hopefully he gets to feeling better. And we'll see him back here next week. We've also got Mr. Lyle Stokes. We keep him around for laughs. And then we also have joining us tonight, because I need somebody else that knows fishing besides just myself. We got James Dockery Fishing joining us tonight.
Hello, everybody.
All right. And then last but certainly not least, our great guest. He left his dad at home. It was a special request made by myself because I wanted some time with my best bud, Stan 3. Thanks for joining us, Stan.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Your dad's not going to like pop out of
the.
Your dad's not going to like pop out behind that Christmas tree, is he?
There's no guarantees on that one.
All right. But we did figure out how to get your dad to show up to a chat at the beginning of the show and not 22 minutes before it ends, and that's to have you on with us. But Lyle, I'm gonna say hi to folks real quick in chat
Absolutely.
before we get kicking too much here. You said Mr. Sampy was first.
Mm-hmm.
We got member rigging for fatties, Joe Buck 66, Bugman 22, Big Wrench Catfishing, 2 Stands Fishing, Fields to Water. He's a great guy. River Rat 3030, 922 Crappie Barbecue. There's Mr. Sampy back again. Benoit Fishing Outdoors. Joe Newman. Mr. Creole Catfishing. JG Hill Studio, Catfishing for Real. Bumpin' Mike Greenwell. Wabash Nate, Brad Beck's Goober Time Guide Service. Can't do that to me. We got Cool Cats Fishing, 205 Wild Action, Dave Garshar, Sean Abney, member Get Hooked on D Fishing, Mr. Dave Funk, Guerrero Bagre, member of the Weekend Angler, Parker Pursuits, Whisker Dreams, Fishing Fever, Mr. LG Bass. And I'm not sure if I just skipped over a bunch of stuff here or what, but it says I'm at the bottom. Tirador Outgo. What's up, Al? I probably didn't say that right. I think I've got everything about it. 205 Wild Action. And I will apologize in advance. I've had a very, very long day. So if I'm a little loopy, we actually had to work hard today. First time in about 23 years.
What would that be different than any other time?
I don't know. There's Tim Molina and Small Water Charters. Lance McCoo guy. Yeah, I think I got everybody.
Brad Bex has joined us. Glad to see Brad in here. He sends us a lot of tournament results from over in Illinois and Indiana and places where the tournament trails that he fishes and runs. So we're glad to have him in here. There's Brian B.
Look at this guy.
Junior Proctor. Man, are we glad to see you, buddy.
Yeah. Very good to see you, brother.
I know Junior's been working his tail off for some time, which that's always good to make money, but we missed him. We really have.
It's definitely been a minute. It's good to see
it
him.
Has. Before we get started,
thumbs up.
What?
I'm going to give you a thumbs up.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead. There you go.
before we get to with Stan, James,
Yes.
it's been a while since you've been on here.
I've been hiding.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you.
Show's not about me, but guys, it's about Stan 3 being on here.
I understand that. I just wanted to bring up the fact that I had a conversation with your wife through Messenger the other day and congratulated her for standing her ground when you didn't need to go fishing. She made you stay home, and you was a little pissy about it, but I thought it was quite funny, so I had to help her.
28 degrees. It would have been perfect fishing weather.
But she was cold.
She normally sits in the car with the heater on.
When did she catch the most? She caught more fish than you did, didn't she?
No.
Oh.
That's never happened.
Well, welcome to Catfish Weekly again, James. We're so glad to have you here to fill in for Josh tonight.
Well, I appreciate the invite.
Chad's got his reel out.
I've already got, look, 5 minutes in, Stan, and I'm already.
We weren't even talking politics.
Not yet.
Not yet.
And Katie wouldn't let me wear my FBJ shirt, so I mean.
What'd you get me into, Chad?
I'm about to just put him up here. Me and you will sit down here and we'll hang out. And we'll have to end up having to mute them two up there, and me and you will have to have the show. So I think everybody in chat knows who you are, Stan, but tell us a little bit about your greatness, where you fish, that sort of thing, and then we'll get started.
All right, I'm Stan 3. Most of you probably know me from Two Stans Fishing. I'm starting my new channel. If you look it up, it's SS3 Fishing, and we primarily fish the James River, land of the giants out here. We're steadily on the 50, 60 pounders, 70 pounders. We're looking for that 100 pounder every day. You never know. Any trip out here, you can land one of them monsters, but it's a fun journey. I remember a couple years ago, we started out where we caught a 20 pounder was the big fish. And then didn't realize like how much I didn't know then, but every day I guess that realizing that I didn't know anything is kind of what pushed me to keep going and going and going out there more and more. And now I didn't even know about the sinkers, what the names of certain sinkers and stuff was like that, and I pretty well got the whole thing figured out now.
Now you're a legend on the James River.
Yeah, I guess so. In some people's eyes.
So obviously you said that you have started kind of your second channel, just the S3 Fishing. So what can we expect out of that versus being on the two stands?
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but I don't do too much talking on the lives, so it's probably not going to be so much of that, but maybe a little bit more of like the long format videos.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna be honest, this is the most I've ever heard you speak.
Yep. I see. I'm trying to step out of my comfort zone.
I love it.
There.
I love it. Lyle, what was you was wanting to start out with something, I think, and you seemed like you had something on your mind you wanted to jump right into.
I didn't know about Stan starting out the SS3 channel. I'm glad to know that, so I can look it up and join, and we'd like for all of our viewers to do that too, because I know he'd appreciate it, and that's what makes the world go round. But we talked a little bit, Stan, before the show started about tidal water, and since we don't have tidal water here, it's very intriguing to me, and probably these other guys too, because unless you fish it, it's something altogether different. And you was explaining that to me before the show started. Would you mind going through that again and telling us Midwesterners how that works and how you go about approaching tidal water?
Yeah, I was like we were saying before. It's if you know how to fish a regular river, is running one way all the time, you could still fish a tidal river. It's just you're gonna do the same thing. You're just gonna have to set up on the opposite side of that structure or point or bend, whatever you whatever was happening on, say, the outgoing tide. Now all of a sudden your boat's starting to spin around. You're like, what the heck's going on? Well, now all that's happening is the current's just going this way now. So just do the same tactic, same thing you were doing. You're just facing the other way now. It might be a little bit to catch the grasp of when you first get out there. That's kind of one of the first things we're doing is, all right, which way is the tide going? So now you're knowing which spots and which kind of points you want to look at and stuff like that.
Well, one of the problems that I have grasping that, and I know you explained this to me a while ago, but when water drops like severe like that is, that's changing real rapidly. And when water starts dropping fast like that, fishing here becomes a lot harder. It's harder to catch fish in dropping water than it is with it rising. So it doesn't make any difference if it's coming in or going out because you got current flow. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can be successful both ways. It's just you got to be in the right place at the right time.
Okay. And
Yeah,
that
it's
just
still,
comes
like,
from experience.
yeah, the more you're out there, you're gonna know how to chase the current a little better, I guess, because the current's gonna be affected quicker down closer towards the bay and stuff. The tide change is gonna happen sooner than it is upriver. Or if you're trying to stay with a certain tide, you might want to maybe run back upriver or whatever to stay with that tide a little more.
Okay. Josh wants to know, how quickly do the fish react to tidal change, Stan? Do they shut down for a bit during the change?
Well, it's like I guess a trick with it is because if the current's running this way, and there's like a rock right here, and the fish are set up, and all of a sudden that current stopped, that it's not so much they're not biting there, they just move to the other side of the rock. So you either got to figure out how to move with them or go and set up and get in that other spot and be ready for them.
Okay.
That's where that suspending. Sometimes you can reel your rods up, suspend them, and then just kind of float around as it goes slack. And then once you get the other way, or if you want to move, that's a good time to move too.
Very good. Very good. Now, the $64,000 question is, who catches the bigger fish when you're catfishing? You or Stan too?
Well, I'll say this: he's very generous and lets me sit in the back of the boat by the poles, so I probably have more opportunities to catch them. But I've got
It must be a hoot getting to fish with your dad all the time like that.
Oh yeah, there's always some type of crazy memory you're gonna come back with.
That's a fact. That's a fact. All right, guys.
What's the speed out there of the river when you're fishing that tidal current?
It depends. There's certain points and like funnel down areas and stuff like that. It can get up probably 6 miles per hour, 4 miles per hour in there, incoming or outgoing. So that's what I'm saying. You can still find the current and be successful on the fish, no matter what it's doing.
How far up does the tide impact that? How does it go all the way up to Richmond, or is it further down?
They say the fall line is at Richmond, and you'll get like the level change a little bit up there in Richmond, but it's not going to change direction in Richmond. But if you go, I don't know, maybe 5-6 miles down from Richmond, that's probably about where it'll actually
Really see
turn
it.
the other way. Yeah, it'll actually turn around.
Okay. Because I know when Dee and I were there, I mean, we weren't out there forever, but it never changed. And
Yeah.
but you all also had quite a bit of flooding rain that was coming down too. So I didn't know how that worked and how far it really went up.
Yeah, no, where you guys fished, that was the fall line, and if you went down about maybe 6 miles, it would have, well, like you were saying, it was the flood conditions. You probably have to go down another 10 or so miles, and it'll turn around even with them flood conditions.
Okay. Now I think my question would be, how long did it take you to learn, like, not just, okay, the incoming tide is at 6 a.m., the outgoing tide is 6 p.m., but the level drops, and what is safe to be depth wise of where to be and stuff like that. Like how do you learn that, and what do you do with that right now? Because I've seen pictures of you guys sitting on mud because the water just dropped. I mean, I'm sure you did that on purpose, but
yeah, sometimes you gotta know that you can get out of situations, and I don't know, we're still young and dumb and do crazy things, so we push it a little bit, but we know we can get into like 2 foot of water and less in places like that, so you don't go fast in those scenarios. But I probably fished upriver in that Richmond area for a good 2 years probably, and I didn't have to worry about like super shallow water like that. It was pretty much that normal river scenario, and I just started upgrading like my techniques and stuff before I went venturing down into the bigger waters where I had to worry about the tide coming in and getting stuck. So that's probably within like the last year and a half or so, that journey, getting stuck in those different situations. But that's probably a big, that now that we've mentioned it, that's probably a big thing. Like if you're trying to figure those waters out or something like that, or you're just new to catfishing, just because people are going catching a big fish in this certain area, you might not have your tactics or your skills ready for that area. Go someplace where you've caught fish there, and then upgrade your stuff trying to catch the bigger fish there. Learn exactly what you're supposed to do, and then go use those tactics.
like it. Parker Pursuits asks, with the tidal changes, how does it affect the wintering holes for the blues? Or is water temperature warm enough in your area for that to not be a factor?
Well, it's kind of, you picture that hole is like as a structure, or what did I believe it was Ted. I keep forgetting his last name. He was on Muskrat.
Ellenbecker.
Yeah, he was calling them elements. Picture that hole as the element. So right, and then sometimes the big fish like to be in the front of the hole, and then all of a sudden now it's outgoing tide. Well, now they're going to be at this end of the hole.
Okay, that makes sense.
You're just changing sides on it. It's all the same stuff that you know what to do. You just gotta go to the other side.
Just flip it.
Go to the dark side.
Yeah. I mean, and you're not just talking always north part of the hole and south part of the hole. I think you was talking too right side of the river versus the left side, right? When some things change, because maybe they're moving and learning where they're moving to what structure, right?
Yeah, it could be like, say, on a bend with like a mud flat point. They would be on the one side, but now everything flipped. Now maybe they want that outside of the bend on the the vice versa tide.
Okay. So yeah, I was just thinking about this a few minutes ago that when I know you and your dad kind of started out from the bank, but you were mostly in a kayak whenever you guys first came in on the scene. But you've kind of switched over. I don't see you on the kayak as much as you used to, but you're more on the boat. But do you prefer the boat fishing over the kayak now, or what?
Yeah, I done got lazy. I guess I like being able to. I got the tiller handle. I'm not as fancy as you with that. New boat can sit there with the steering wheel, but just being able to get some horsepower behind you, and you can get out where you got to go. And then I got everything I need. I can put the bimini top up, all that stuff. I got the kids. I got a small soccer team, so I can fit all them in there. Can't fit everybody in the kayak. So
I will say, with the family and stuff now, I think you finally putting Jenny on some bigger fish after all this time. I can see why you're starting to like the boat more, being able to take the family out.
Yeah, I was in the doghouse there for a while for that couples tournament. I couldn't get the job done there. It took me a little while. She finally got her fish now. I'm safe. See, I'm allowed back in the house. I got the Christmas tree and everything behind me.
And yes, Sean, that is Chad and Dockery at Youngans. Dockery was the Cubs kid.
Everybody knows good and
Didn't
well
you
I
tell
would
me
never
you
be
had
seen
birds
with
this year over and over? I'm pretty sure.
What was that?
What?
What? Hey, Freddie.
Trying to make sure I'm not missing. I'm trying to scroll down through here.
Jody's in here. Jeremy Tournament Cats has made it in. Chrissy Brown, Joe Newman, Buck Williams, 205. I think you got earlier.
I got a
Curtis
question.
Cunningham. Welcome, everybody. We're glad to have you.
Okay, I'm caught up. Yeah, what's your question there, Stan?
It's for you, Chad.
No, don't
noticed-
ask me. You know me. I'm just a pretty face.
I noticed you've got that new boat, and you guys have been on some fish. Is it just the new boat luck, or what
It's
are you
gotta
doing
be.
different?
You know I can't fish, so it's got to be luck.
I think you've been holding out. You got some information. You've been holding out on everybody. You didn't want to show them.
Here's what I can tell you. Anytime you pay for an upgrade and you're finally comfortable, you can finally move places. I mean, when I came down, example, to the James River, you guys had so much flow going on in that river at that time. Me, D, and your dad was on that boat, and we could hardly get that boat moving, and that was the three of us. It was the same way if it was just me or if it was me and D. We couldn't go anywhere. Right? I mean, it was very limited to how far we could travel in that boat or how we could set up. And I'm sure, going from a kayak where you can go anywhere you want versus a boat, trying to figure out how to position it and be safe, and you can go different places. And that I think that is one of the biggest things that have changed for us. We're not really fishing too much at different locations, but we're actually able to, if we're not getting the bite, it's not just this is where we're at. We're able to pick up and move and go find another spot, or go out a little bit deeper where I know that I can get out of the way of barges coming through if I really need to be, and where I wouldn't have before. So it's setting up in better locations, I think, is definitely one of the biggest things from that. And that comfort, man, I got so much room. I can stretch out, take a nap, and let Dee just catch her fish. So,
But no crapper.
look, it was either get that awesome boat or wait another 10 years and hope I hit the lottery sometime in between that to get the boat with a crapper. Okay.
I understand.
But,
I don't have one either.
Yeah, like I've not really changed the way I fish. It's just really being able to move and be comfortable. Being able to find those locations quicker is definitely big for me.
Yep.
So
I agree, JG.
The show ain't over yet, buddy.
I know James is up there being so good and quiet right now, so I've just been waiting.
Careful what you ask for. The shizzle, big wrench, cool
Down
cats
there,
fishing.
On the James River, have they declared the blue cats an invasive species also?
I don't know what it's classified as, but I know everybody says they were introduced, like they were put there on purpose.
Well,
So
you got a lot of states up there now, like Maryland, for example. They are considering flathead and blue cat invasive species, and they're actually telling them, to kind of like we talked about down here with the Asian carp, don't put them back. They want people to kill them, right? Throw them on the bank or take them home and eat them, kill them, whatever. They're not doing that kind of thing on the James River, are they? In Virginia or anywhere you know of?
Not that I've heard of.
Okay.
The thing that gets me about that whole situation is if they bring them into an area, they've introduced them, and I'm talking about your conservation department or DNR or whoever is over that. That takes away the factor that they're an invasive species because they done it. They wanted them in there, just like flathead. Why would you ever call a flathead catfish an invasive species? My God, what's wrong with it, people? There's something wrong. When you got the king of cats in there and you're calling them an invasive species, you should be fired instantly from whatever job position you have. Because you're too dumb to be doing that job. It's flathead. Come on, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here's a good question from Bumpin' Mike Greenwell. Has Stand 3 done any more bumping? I would love to be able to bump up and then back down. That would be awesome.
That would be. Welcome, Neil.
I haven't done the bumping. I have I need to get a better trolling motor. I need, like the remote control deal. I still got to control it with my hand. But I know a couple spots that we can do it. We don't have the dam, like most people have a dam or whatever, and they'll go bumping behind that when they're letting out the water and everything. We don't have that scenario here in the James.
Yeah, up there where we were talking about earlier would be probably your like best bet.
There's spots that fun. Yeah, during a flood it'd be pretty good right there, but there's spots where that current's going faster downriver.
You did say that 4 to 6 mile an hour.
Yeah.
At times that would be interesting.
And it's probably faster. It's probably faster downriver closer to the bay. I don't really fish too much past the Hopewell area. That Richmond to Hopewell, that's kind of my home area there.
You hear that, everybody? We're starting to get the location of the spots.
You've seen them. It's not that big of a secret.
Let's see.
Dieter, you don't need to grow a beard to come on the show. Just get your ponytail back.
I'll say I don't think Dieter can grow a beard. Dieter Dierte.
Yeah.
Or to be Dierte Melhorn. That's what I'm going with.
Dieter says blue cats and flatheads have a target on them anywhere in tidal waters of Virginia and Maryland. And that is the truth. And it's too bad that it's like that.
I was say I knew about Maryland. I hadn't heard really anything about Virginia. I wasn't sure.
Well, the reason why I was asking is because even in Missouri, every 5 to 10 years they do a new study and they want you to abide by what they recommend as far as you harvesting or not harvesting and stuff like that. So,
and James, you know as well as I do right now in our state, Lake Ozark, Truman, Mark Twain, they want you to catch all of the undersized fish because we have slots that you can catch and remove them and eat them. Well, they're better tasting to start with, but there's too many of them. We're overpopulated on them. And that's why we keep...
Right. And see, and this is where, the selective harvest comes in, because if you get, overpopulated on fish, then you do run into like the Lake of the Ozarks and Truman and stuff like that, where the bigger fish can't get to the bait in enough time because the small ones are chewing it all up.
Now, Stan, you don't have that issue out where you're at, do you?
I couldn't hear exactly everything.
You're not overpopulated on blue cats out there, are you?
Everybody likes to think so, but it's not like we're catching 20, 30 fish every time we go out. So there's a heavier population down towards the bay. You got bigger water, more fish, more space and stuff like that. But you can find a good spot and you'll catch some big ones. But I think maybe the population overpopulated thing, maybe more up like Potomac. Them guys are constantly on the numbers or whatever like that.
They catch a lot of fish up there and a lot of good fish.
And I don't know, maybe you guys have better knowledge on this, but like we were talking about, the blue cat was introduced into the James River. And when you introduce a species, there's going to be a crazy incline, like in population growth and stuff like that. And eventually it's going to plateau. Well, I'm probably in that plateau stage, because everybody was talking back in the day, catfish were thick in here. You can walk across them and catching 50, 60 pounders left and right. And then now them same guys are kind of complaining a little bit that the fishing's not as good. I think it's just at that plateau stage in the species evolution or whatever on the James.
Very good.
I want to see whatever idea Austin has here with you and him on the same kayak?
Same kayak.
Oh wait, he's talking about a boat. Never mind.
Oh, that's how we could figure out how to do the bumping. Somebody'd have to control the boat. The other one would have to do the fishing. Honestly, I don't know if that's some good current there. It's gonna be hard to keep up with that current. Some pinch point spots, you got the rivers come together and then a pinch point and the current gets ripping through there. So if that was a spot to bump, that would be it.
Let's see. Okay. There's been a lot of questions in chat today. That's awesome. Keep them coming, folks. Smaller rivers. Okay. So, I think we need to take it back a little bit, Stan, because
Okay.
you are now, you know, just a few years ago to where you said, tried not really knowing all the techniques and about all the gear, like even what some sinkers were called, to now you have your own rigs. You got the hunky rigs going on. Tell us a little bit about that. Like, what have you learned rig wise that you're using that works on the James River? Because I'm gonna be back up there before long, and I need to,
Okay.
I need the knowledge of somebody so great and epic like you.
Well, I guess it comes down to, I'd say I got three songs. You got to have location, you got to have presentation, and adaptation. So you can be in the right spot, but if you ain't got the right rig, you're not tying it up right, the presentation's going to be off.
Okay.
So you got to kind of like streamline this stuff a little bit. You got to picture what it's going to do in the water. That's the way I stack the floats with the beads and put the rattle. I put my rattle behind the float if I'm doing that type of scenario. I want everything to be spinning the right way and not tangling, getting the right scent out there. And then you got to be able to adapt. If you're knowing you're in the right spot, you got the location right, and maybe the presentation's not right, you got to change up your presentation, or maybe you got to change your technique. You got to adapt to what's happening there.
You got an example? What do you mean change your presentation up? Are you changing leaders? Are you suspended?
Maybe go from a three-way to a Santee Cooper, or you take the float off and go to just a Carolina rig. Those are that's the three major rigs probably you'd use.
Okay.
Or then the other adaptation is change your technique. So maybe you're on anchor and you're not really getting too many bites. This would work better in the summertime, hotter water conditions. So they would want that bait moving. So you got to adapt, start drifting or dragging, get the bait moving past them. And then the presentation's still going to be a factor. You got to make sure you got the right rig. You're going to want, like a egg sinker with the Carolina rig set up for suspend drifting. Some people don't like those egg sinkers, but it gives you the least amount of water resistance when you're trying to suspend them.
Never thought about that. Because I have found I've always, well, not always, but I've went from like the bank sinkers when I first started suspending to coin sinkers. Now I mainly use the like cannonball style, but I also found some like bell type. They're almost similar to the egg, but they're a little bit longer. I like both of them. They don't spin, like a coin sinker does in the water. So I really like that.
Gotcha.
I didn't put that question up. I don't know who would have asked that.
Stan.
I mean, I don't know who would have clicked it, not asked it.
Oh.
He's always going to do is talk about all he's done for the last 3 to 4 years is watch Fields to Water. We didn't even need to ask this. So how has Stan 3 acquired so much knowledge about fishing in his short 30 plus years?
So he had to pull himself into this somehow, huh?
It's got to be about him.
Obviously, I've had a great teacher my whole life. Somehow I always end up managing to catch the bigger fish. You got to ask him about his walleye story. Ask him
Well,
about how many walleye he's caught.
The only thing that I can think of is the real trophy fisherman in the family besides you is your mother, who caught a state record crappie that somebody didn't they throw it back, or maybe they even cooked it. I don't remember.
The story goes he put it in the basket, but what I think he did was just like, I think he just gave him one of them little, I swear I put it in there.
Whoa, what happened there?
I don't know.
Lyle's clicking buttons and getting excited. I mean, I didn't want to bring it up, Stan, but you know, we're going to talk about the true fisherman that taught you everything. Fisherwoman. It was your mom. So
No, you just gotta be persistent. That's really what it is. Like I said, that realizing that I didn't know as much as I thought I knew, and I guess something new. I always like learning something new. I like dive in, maybe a little too much. I dive in, and I just wanted to learn as much as I possibly could. And then when you find out that you're in like one of the absolute premier locations for this, like, why wouldn't you take the chance to go out there? And then if you get a little success, man, you keep coming back.
you've had a little success. Yeah.
A little bit. I'd say a
Done
little
all
bit.
right.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'm still looking for that triple-digit fish, but it's common.
I can't remember. How big is your big one? Like 45 or something like that?
What?
I mean, I know you've caught bigger, but your dad is taking credit for them all. So
my biggest channel cat is, I think, like 16 pounds. That was a pretty fun one. My biggest flathead is 54 pounds, and then my biggest blue cat is 76 pounds. And I've caught a couple of them right around that 76 range. It's hard. I'm trying to get over that 80 mark. It's weird how it works. You can have like a PB you're trying to break, or something you're trying to get to, and you might be struggling to get to it. But then once you catch one of them, it's just like a snowball effect. For some reason, you catch more and more and more of them, like, consistently.
That's right.
I'll say I was more interested number wise, not of what your actual PB was, but my question would have been how many blue cats over 50 you had caught. That would have been more of a pretty cool scenario, because I know you've got quite a few.
All right, well, let's put it this way. I was looking on the Fishing Chaos. Those are the online tournaments. Yeah. I was looking at my stats, I guess you want to call them, and just for this year alone, it said I had recorded over 110 blue cats, and you can probably say that 90% of those are about that 50-pound range.
That's awesome. I'm not jelly.
And I didn't record every fish that I caught. I wasn't in tournaments every month and stuff like that. So
yeah,
and I need to keep better track of it. It's probably a really good number.
I would venture to say so, because that seems about every few days I get a picture of, some monstrous fish that you've caught, or 2 or 3 of them at the same time, and you and the boys, and good time.
I'm betting it's going to be pretty close to 222 catfish over 50.
Bless you. I'm going to kick you right off this show. Just
Pardon me?
I was going to kick him off. He's using the 222. He's trying to suck up to Dad.
That would be pretty cool, Dan. Did you see what Goober Time put in there? He's got a new thing going down for the Angler of the Year series. You're going to be a big pot at the end of the year. Each month, a little bit goes to it. There'll
Good
be
deal.
somebody's going to be
Okay,
crowned
so-
Angler of the Year.
Are you leading that right now?
I don't think it's going to count for this year. It's going to be starting up next
Oh,
year.
in 2024, so it'll be a new thing in 2024.
Very nice.
But if it was this year, yes, I would be leading that.
Well, you guys know that if you do have tournaments, I do have a Catfish Tournament Headquarters group on Facebook that I'm trying to grow so everybody can see not only our YouTube tournaments, but in-person tournaments as well. That way, there's a lot of stuff that people do not see that maybe they could check that and see it. That's why I started it. So feel free to share those. Don't spam the group chat with different crap. I will be watching that a little bit, but posting it here and there, I will allow that. So I just don't want it to get all so overwhelming with the same person's post over and over where people can't just scroll down through and see the different tournaments. So make sure Dan or Stan share that out.
Will do. I saw Freddie in there. He wanted to know how I felt about being a FOA pro staff, and I'm beside myself. So happy to have the FOA gear in the boat, catching the monsters every day. And out of the 222 cats that we caught, 222 of them were on FOA gear.
Get your weight up.
Get your weight up. That came from football back in the day when I played football in high school. I don't know. That was one of those.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. I ran my mouth a little bit and stuff. You hit somebody, you tackle them, you get your weight up. That was just kind of transferred over.
I'd always wondered where that came from, and nobody's ever said anything. But I didn't know you played football.
Yeah. Yeah. So if anybody saw the Patrick Mahomes commercial, and he said that, I said it first back in the day. So just clear that up right now. I got to get my money from him. He's using my line.
Send him a bill. He can afford it.
Did everybody know that Lyle is a Kansas City fan?
I am not.
Big time.
I am not. I'll root for whoever they play against. Doesn't matter who it is.
There we go. There's another question. Ask Stan about his shallow water tactics. Under what conditions do you look for them in the shallows?
Well, that's kind of I just started doing the shallow water tactics kind of this summer, because it's all about a timing thing. If most places it's not really going to work in the wintertime, I guess it may be a little special for the James, I heard, but you can do it in the daytime in the deep winter, certain spots, but you're pretty successful in the summertime at night. That's going to be your prime time to go do it. You find the bait in the shallows, go drag some. You can probably do it. That's why bank fishing is so successful at night, because they're up in the shallows. But dragging with some of them FOA planer boards and them FOA bottom pounders and all that stuff, it gets the job done.
I like that, Josh. 90 people watching, 57 thumbs up. These are rookie numbers. Pump those numbers up.
I'm glad to
That's
have
what I was
Josh.
saying. Creel's got to go do some of that night fishing. He says he doesn't want to do it because of the gators. He'd probably be tearing them up down there. He's got to try it at least one time. Bring something on your hip.
I don't know. I think I would have to take a box of Depends to go out on the river down there where he's at night. Them barges and gators.
Well, you're not gonna be right in the main river doing that. You're gonna be off some.
Well, I want to be where the fish are.
Okay.
Wherever that might be.
See, I go down there. That's what I want to go after is gators.
No.
Yep.
Maybe the gator gar down there. I don't know about the gators.
They got them both.
So this is kind of something, just a weird little fact that I've noticed. like I've had a lot of success at nighttime. I guess a lot of people do. They'll have a lot of success at nighttime in the summertime, and then the daytime in the winter, which is also when you have you have your solstices, and then you got more daylight, that's the part where you have the smaller amount of something. Like in the summertime, you have a smaller amount of nighttime, and that's when the bite's better. And in the wintertime, you have a smaller amount of daytime, and that's when the bite's better. It's just a weird thing I've tied together. James talking about them solar flares get you thinking about weird stuff like that.
Why do you think that is? I've kind of wondered that myself.
What's that?
Why in the summertime, typically the nighttime bites a little bit better versus wintertime being more of the daytime bite. Now, to me, nighttime in the summer, first of all, is that last couple hours before, right when it gets dark, up until an hour or two after dawn. But I don't know.
I think there's several factors. I think one is the sun's gone down. I think it's cooler. I think that has a lot to do with the temperature. I know it affects me terribly, so it probably don't affect fish as much, but I know they'll come from deeper water to feed up in the shallows at night, where they may or may not in the daytime. Although I've caught pretty good fish in shallow water in the middle of the day. Cindy and I, the picture that I posted this week, where we had got second place in a tournament in Quincy, Illinois, we pulled into a creek behind John. John was ahead of us. He was going way up in this creek, and I pulled in. I told Cindy, I said, John missed those fish. She said, what fish? There was a brush pile right there at the edge of the creek mouth. I said, there's 2 fish in there, and I found them on side scan. And we anchored up, and I cast over there, and it was just a few minutes, and I had one of them, it was a flathead, had it in a boat. And I turned around and cast it right back out and had the other one on, and it got off before I got it to the boat, and then the marks was gone. It was not there anymore. And that was probably 11 o'clock that morning. So you can catch them in the daytime, but there seems to me like they're just easier to find, easier to target in the cooler at night. Now I'm talking about flatheads, blues. It don't matter. They eat 24/7. They don't care. They don't care if it's shallow or deep or in between. Just whatever fits their fancy. You can catch them all the time. They just, and channel cats the same way. But flatheads are different. At least for me.
I got another question. Stan, why is it that you and Dan have a lot of success fishing together, even more so than you and your dad?
Probably because Dan doesn't rock the boat so much.
Oh, man.
No, I think the answer he was looking for was when we go out, we fish a little bit different. We can fish the same area, but he's doing something a little different than I'm doing, and then we can give some feedback to each other, and then we can really pinpoint what's happening and get on them that day.
I thought you were going to go with it's a little bit quieter.
Not all the time. You never know.
No, I've watched Dan out there as well. Dan's always jamming every time I watch him. I haven't watched him in a while. I haven't seen him live in a while, but he's usually jamming when he's on TikTok. So
yeah, he's working pretty hard on that guide service, the Goober Time guide service.
Good.
So anybody looking for a trip, go hit him up. You find him on Facebook and all that stuff. You definitely have a good time out there, and he's gonna put you on some big fish.
We've had Dan on here before as a guest. We probably need to do that again.
I might allow him back on here one day. It'll have to be closer to when I'm taking a trip to Virginia, you know, and I'm like, you know, you could give me a discount or even a free trip, but you know,
You
just
got
show me
the
where
boat. Just take him out in your boat.
yeah, maybe
Y'all
I'll
got
get
the same
that's
boat.
it. I'll go out there and give him a guide trip and show him how it's done. Because your dad's not allowed back on my boat. Because the last time I was out there, he guided me to nothing, and I was like, you know what, Stan, this is where we're fishing, and I'm going to catch at least one fish before we leave. And you know what? That's what happened. He didn't say anchor up here.
You caught one fish?
I caught one fish that day.
Oh.
It was right. We were live, and right at the very end of that live, that we caught that.
Now the question is, how many did he catch?
No, really, that was the only
Oh.
fish we caught all day. Even
okay.
was it Haz and Ernie were down there? Wasn't it with Dan? I think they were on that boat with Dan. I don't know how well they did that day.
It was that was when the river was
Yeah, it was a rough day.
rolling pretty good. Just had a big rain and stuff. If y'all like that skipjack fishing stuff, you got to come in the springtime because you'll be right at home there.
Oh, that's when you have the American shad run and hickory shad, right?
Yes.
Because we were
Yep.
supposed to do that, and we didn't get to do it.
Yeah, I'd like to be in on some of that.
Right. That's some good fun right there. I'll be at the water every day.
Talk about a little bit about that, though,
like a month.
You can only keep one species, right? You can't keep them both.
Yeah, there's a couple species that come up, but you're allowed to keep the hickory shad. You're not allowed to keep the American shad, and you're not allowed to keep the herring. That's like the primo bait, but not allowed to keep that
you're
one.
not allowed to keep it though.
No, you'll get the white perch will come up at the same time, and also the striper, the rockfish. So the river is full of life. It's just it's hard not to catch a fish during that time of the year.
Well, I can tell you, hopefully we're going to be able to make it back out there in April again, and I won at least one full day up there. I didn't get to do it last year, but I'd love to come back up there and give her the old college try once again.
Oh yeah, you got sometimes the James can be cruel to you, and then sometimes it can be extra rewarding.
I think they're all waters like that, aren't they?
Yeah. And you're right. I was just joking with you, Stan, but yeah, we couldn't even keep anchor that day. It didn't matter if I put one zip tie, two zip ties on the anchor. It kept breaking the zip ties off, and we struggled to even keep an anchor most of the day. And the water was rushing so hard. There was so much debris coming down in it. The lines were just getting covered in grass. But we had, even though we only caught the one fish, it was a great day out there, especially with that day. That was the day they had those, the fire department out there running drills and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so where we launched, Lyle, and there's two walls where you back down, and there's a platform. And Stan had just came out, and he was waving, said something, turns around and walks off, and about 3 seconds after he disappeared, some guy comes running and dives off of this platform onto the raft where they were doing these fire drills, where they were taking the fire rescue team was taking the boats out and stuff. And I swear to God, we all thought it was Stan that just ran and jumped in the water. Dee was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, Stan takes this very serious, but I think that was one of my favorite things from that day, because that was pretty cool though. To see them whip around and drop the boat down, and some guy just takes off running and dives onto the boat, and then they take off.
Wow,
pretty cool.
Them guys are serious, man. Up in the parking lot, they got the trailer, like 4 or 5 spare motors set up on the thing. The rafts are stacked up. They'll have 6 rafts out there in a minute flat. Gone.
Is that your mother?
D. Smithy? Yes, it is. Hello, mother.
I thought it was. Welcome.
That's the real fisherman of the family.
I'd say you're right about that.
She just got one of her PBs. It's up in I think it was about 35, 40 pounds, something like that.
Nice.
She came out with me.
Very nice.
So now you not only put Jenny, but your mother as well on a new PB.
Yep.
Man,
The only
you
one
are
left
really,
is-
really working the Christmas present well, my friend. You're
I'm
definitely
trying.
getting something this year.
This is not my first rodeo, Chad. Okay.
I thought you well.
Dale Hayslip, welcome.
I think that's an easy question, no BS. It's got to be the James River Gizzy.
Yep, but that's an important topic. Is the bait. Definitely my favorite bait is the shad, the gizzard shad. But fresh gizzard shad. Like every time I go fishing, I'm catching fresh bait. I'm not taking something out the freezer. I'm not using chicken. I'm not going to the store and there's like if it's been kind of tough or I'm spending a long time, I might go buy an eel just to have a plan B, a backup. But I'm going to spend some time to look for some fresh bait every time I go out on the water.
I have seen the size of the shad. I know why they will spend time. Some things are,
Well, I think Stan too
18
had a
inches
video
long.
about that.
Oh yeah.
A little short the other day and had a giant shad in his hand. It was just a massive thing.
All right, we'll catch them like 20 inches. We've got them measuring boards and stuff. We throw them on there. They'll be 18, 19, 20 inch long.
Why do you think they get so big?
I couldn't tell you the answer to that. Maybe just plenty of forage, plenty of space. You know, you put something in a fish tank, it's gonna grow to its environment. I don't know.
I
guess
know.
everybody else got plenty of room, but
There's got to be something in your water because we've got some decent sized gizzard shad. I've caught some really big ones, but not like you guys go out and catch a dozen or 2 dozen of them.
Yeah.
We have a lot of like
the ocean could be a part of it.
12 inches.
I don't know.
And then we might get
you,
a 16, 17 here and there.
Are you guys using nets to catch them, or you just throw nets?
It's nice if you can, use that cast net one throw and you're done. But if we use the gill net, if the bait's a little tough.
See, that's not allowed in our area at all.
I know. I wish that was allowed in our area.
Well, you can't stop the commercial guys from doing it, and then you do it. That's the key
that's
there.
the thing. They're allowed to do it, but I'm not.
Well,
You have
that's
to buy
kind of
a separate
a
license.
ignorant deal there. Yeah, that's just stupidity. But
You have to pay an extra $9 or whatever, and you can get
to be able to get bait, though, that's a cheap price.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you think about it. We're almost spending $5 or something for one gizzard shad. So that's a no-brainer there.
That is. I agree. I think I seen a video years ago. A guy had a RC boat, and he run that RC boat with a gill net behind it, and gathered up his bait for the day. It was the coolest thing ever. I don't know if anybody's still doing that or not, but I was very impressed with that.
Yeah, you better have a big RC boat try to do that out
It
here.
was a pretty good sized one, but it wasn't gigantic or nothing. But he caught probably 2 dozen. The boat was struggling getting it back.
And that's probably a good thing if people are trying to learn more about catfishing or figuring out where to be in the right spot, is learn the bait. If you want to find out where the fish are going to be, you find out where the bait's going to be. You get a better
very
understanding
true.
of that, you're going to be on the right track.
That's right. I agree. I agree 100%. If you can't catch bait, you're probably not going to catch fish.
Yep. Can't catch them with a bare hook. I mean, you can, but it's unethical.
That's right. Yeah. I've seen James and his daughter catch an Asian carp on a bare hook, but that's the only way you can catch those.
Yeah, that's a different. That's what you're.
That's a whole different situation. Yeah.
Now I want to So back to those herring and the hickory shads and stuff. Do those have to be caught on rod and reel, or can you guys catch those in nets as well?
I think if it's a game fish, you have to catch it on rod and reel. So if I don't think they're considered game fish, so you can catch them in the nets.
Oh, okay.
Legally.
Very cool.
That was my politician's answer.
Oh, okay. I like that. See you later, Joe Buck.
Yeah, I hope you get to feeling better, buddy.
Yep. Any last questions here from the chat for Mr. Stan? Otherwise, I'll turn it over to, Lyle and James. They haven't asked. I've asked all the questions tonight. These guys just kind of sat here all night. But
Yeah, but you did a good job.
thanks, buddy. I'm glad you
and
know.
like Josh, I mean, I'm just here as eye candy. The same as Josh is here. So.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Stan, I really, honestly, I'm glad you decided to come in here and hang out with us tonight. And it's nice to really everybody get to really see. I mean, normally when you're out there on live, you're fishing and you're kind of focused. You're quiet and you're focused on fishing, and you're kind of got that Creole mode when you're fishing, where you don't talk a whole lot. You're in I want to destroy my competition mode, I guess you could say. So it's good to see you open up, and even though you did answer ask the greatest question, and it was all about me. So I appreciate that, my friend.
I tell you, we was really glad to have you on here, but you answered every question without hesitation, and that means a lot. But I wish you the best of luck with your new YouTube channel. I hope you do really well with that. And if somebody wouldn't mind, go ahead and post that link up again. That would just be right now. Awesome. And keep us posted on how it gets along. If you need to share that out, you feel free to share your link and stuff out, and any videos that you got coming up on Catfish Weekly. Glad to help you out with that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I got a lot of DIY kind of things I do on my boat. I've been starting to make my own kind of sinker molds for big weights and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to see if I can get some of that kind of stuff on there. Like I was saying, more of the longer style videos.
Right. Cool. There's D.
You just now seen D? She's been in here the whole time.
Oh, I didn't notice it.
She said, hi, Lyle. I love you right at the beginning.
Oh, my God, will you stop?
Hey, Stan, real quick, I've seen another question. That's a good question, really. Do you just use cut bait, or do you also use live, and how often?
No, I'll use live bait if it's if I have the setup for it. Sometimes I got a 14-foot John boat, so I don't got the space in the live well and all that set up in there, but I've got a bin set up. That's probably one of my videos I need to make. I got a cool aeration circulation setup to put into a bin, and then you can have a live well. I can keep the gizzard shad and pretty much anything. I can keep it alive in there. So I can bring them big 12-inch gizzard shad out, keep like 10 of them alive in that thing, and we can put them suckers on whole, and that works better. And like I was saying, in the summertime when you're drifting, the moving baits, put a couple live gizzard shads on there. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised that a 20-pounder will take one of them whole 12-inch gizzard shad like nothing.
How often do you use even if it's dead and just not even really cutting it up, like a whole actual like 16, 18-inch gizzard shad? How often do you fish with something like that?
Oh, I'll do that quite often. You know that on the FOA, the S3 rigs, I got the 2 hooks.
Yes.
And if I know that they're biting good, stuff like that, I'll fillet that sucker and put both pieces. I'll have 2 big old fillets. Look like a school of shad swimming there instead of just one. Cut the head off and then put one half on one hook, the other half on the other hook. Let her eat.
That's smart.
A double donkey bait.
Do you use salt on the gizzards to help keep them alive?
No, it's the purging them. is the key. You catch them, you're gonna put them in your whatever you're gonna put them in. They're gonna be throwing up and sliming and peeing all in that water. Once you get them in there for a minute, you see, I just use a bucket. I got a smaller bucket. I can dip that down in there, get all that nasty water out, put fresh water in there, give it a minute or so. They're gonna do it again, get that out, and then I have a filtration system built into the pump, so it helps collect all the scales and slime and stuff.
James,
But no salt, just fresh water. Recirculate with fresh water. And circulation. You gotta get something to keep that water moving so that they kind of be going in a circle.
So since James won't ask it, and is there any other key ways you know of to keep bait fish alive? Asking for a friend.
What do you mean other ways?
Hey, you're talking about like purging the water and stuff, but is there any other? Trust me, there's people here watching and listening right now.
Well,
that really need help to.
I wasn't going to fall for it. I was going to leave you alone, but I mean,
I could get. Do you really want me to come up with another way to keep bait fish alive? Or?
No, he's just being facetious.
Just looking for ways to help friends out.
Yeah.
So if you're catching some good bluegill, you can take a milk crate with you to the bank, and you can put the milk crate in the bank, and then they'll have fresh water the whole time.
That is an interesting.
I've seen them big enough that they wouldn't get out of a milk crate.
Me too, but when I seen them, they were dead. But anyways, besides that.
But they still caught fish.
Now, one last question, and I'll leave you alone. So, I know for the longest time you used a rig made famous by me that you watched a video. You and your father watched a video every other night on my channel. The Kentucky double hook rig. Do you still use it?
Well, I gotta figure out how I gotta word this because. Yes, we use it, but all right, I won't even bring that part up. Yeah, we caught our last big fish came on that Kentucky double hook rig that my dad loves to use so much. That happens to love to hook onto every other rod in the boat once you lay it down. And we don't get in about that. But yeah, it works.
Good job.
Now, are you talking about a high-low rig?
Yes.
That has been a pompano rig in the saltwater areas long before you was ever born. So don't call it a Kentucky rig. It's a pompano rig.
Back in my day when we were
building, it's not back in any.
We were building the pyramid.
We came across on the Mayflower. It was.
We used to catch.
You got to help me out here. They're ganging up on me.
Well, my dad's been calling it the 2 stands double hook rig. So I don't know what it is.
Wow.
I have a board right there that's set up to make those rigs on. The board's probably old as Chad is.
I'd say the key to that is to make sure when you're done and it ties up that the hooks line up on the eyes of the rod. I can't stand it when you got one of them that misses the eye. Oh, that's the most important part of all that.
I agree. That's not funny, Josh.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, but that rig is he loves using that. My dad loves using that 2-hook rig like that, and he's been using them just those 8-aught. I call it just like a little hook, the 8-aught. I guess that's a pretty decent size hook. I'm used to the 12-aughts and stuff like that, but he uses the 8-aught circle hook, the glowing circle hooks from Freddy's FOAs, and those little ones, those 8-aughts will catch 60, 70, 80 pounders, probably bigger.
Yeah, I read that as soon as I took a drink.
You're right, Keith. He is looking a little rough. to see Keith in here from Fishing and Stuff. If you haven't
Thank
checked
you.
out his channel, you need to do that for sure.
Never heard
One of the greatest channels on YouTube, in my opinion. I watched him for years and years and years, and man, did he grow fast.
I like that crankbait.
Yeah.
A little crankbait he's always got, giving him.
Yeah.
That's like
Cranky.
your Chad.
Yeah.
That's
It
your crankbait.
is cranky.
I hear you, Keith. I hear you.
All right. Well, boys, you got anything else? Stan, anything else you want to tell the crowd?
I believe we're having a stand day tournament of champions this weekend. So make sure everybody
Oh, yeah.
tunes in to see that. That should be a pretty fun-filled, exciting event. And it's going to be points for the Palmettos Live Fishing League. That's coming to a close. The competition's getting tight. It's getting
You're going to come back
serious.
and win that?
I
got some underground betting on you.
I haven't been able to fish in like the last 3 or 4 tournaments, so we'll see how this one goes.
Well, good luck to you.
I had to name a tournament after me to be able to try to get some points in this thing.
James, Lyle, anything from you fellers?
I don't. Just thank you, Stan, for joining us tonight. And James, thanks for jumping in here on short notice and filling in for Josh, because we know Josh not doing well, and he'll be back next week. And of course, you're both welcome here anytime. So just keep that
And
in
I
mind.
apologize. I didn't say too awful much tonight, but they swore up and down that I shouldn't say Joe Biden sucks on this show, and they were going to kick me off if I did, and all this. So I just sat here and just stayed.
You don't get to reel after him. What?
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you and hope you have a glorious week. Thank you for watching Catfish Weekly. We will see you Wednesday night over at Panfish Nation, Thursday night over on Field to Water. Come watch the bait shop, hang out with us. Have a good week, everybody.
Get your weight
See ya.
up.